Hello and welcome to another video lecture for CMAR 4329 Hyperlocal Communication. Today we're going to be talking about public relations and search engine optimization. And whether you're working for a public relations team or you are your own PR, the task of maintaining a strong public image has changed drastically with online tools. So old methods may no longer be effective, and new tools and strategies allow for hyperlocal public relations with relative ease. Of the many tools in public relations that you can use, the press release still remains an effective means to inform the public of what's happening with your brand. And so the old press release strategy was to send letters or emails to news outlets and hoping they'd pick up the story and somebody would come and cover it and the story would generate interest in your brand. That's kind of how the old press release worked. But with new online tools, mass communication is no longer in the hands of news agencies, but it's everyone's tools now. So all of this ability to communicate with anyone and everyone is at our fingertips. So now you can skip the middleman and you can go directly to the customer with your press release. Traditionally, press releases were reserved for big news, and so they weren't as frequent as you might think. However, consumers are hungry for content. They're going all over the internet constantly searching for things and reading things and watching things, and feeding that appetite is what's going to make them tune into you. So the more news you share, the more they'll come to your brand. So you don't want to flood the internet with news for the sake of news, but feel free to share anything that you think would get your audience excited. So it's okay to release press releases more frequently and to send them out to the customers, whether it's about an anniversary that's happening within your brand, or it's a new product that's coming along, or a meeting that's going to be taking place that the public can be able to attend. All these things can be sent out to the public, get them excited, get them reading, and get them more tuned into your brand. Now here's a little word of advice for writing press releases. You want to be able to demonstrate that you're an expert in your field. You want people to recognize you as somebody that is highly competent in that area. But you want to avoid talking over people's heads. You don't want to alienate your audience. So write your press releases free of jargon. Don't use these technical terms. Make them clear and understandable for everyone, because that's who you're really trying to get these press releases to. Your goal is to get people excited, not bore them with all this technical stuff. So keep it simple and trust that their curiosity is going to lead them to go deeper. A press release is just to get them excited and want to seek out more information. It doesn't have to explain everything in that. As they start coming to you for more answers, or they start attending events, they're going to learn these things on their own. There are a lot of opportunities to publish your press release and put it directly in the hands of the consumer. Now, while I did say that you can skip the middleman with media, I don't mean to ignore them completely. You just don't want to depend on them. So you still want media to know and follow you. You still want to be able to send stuff to them. And so for both media outlets and your audience, make your press releases available on PR sites. There's several out there that you can use, that you can publish your press release on, one being PR Newswire. So not only will that be a source media follows, but your content's going to show up in search engines as well. Now, speaking of search engines, make sure your content is search engine optimized, SEO, using keywords people will actually look for. And make sure your content is clearly labeled as to what it's about. We are going to talk about search engine optimization a little later, but make sure that you're making your press releases use the terminology that people would be Googling. Now, make use of social media, get involved, find where conversations about your field or your brand are taking place, and get involved in those conversations. Share your press releases there. On Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you can, make that available for people. You don't want to put any obstacles between them and your content. So make it as widely available as possible. Now, of course, you're going to have your press release on your website, but also you want to make sure that your press releases have your website on there. And so if you're sending out these digital press releases, you can make use of hyperlinks. So point people to your website, allowing them to further delve in and learn more about your brand. Now, a bad press release is going to be one that motivates your viewer to do absolutely nothing. You want your press release to get people excited. So when you craft a press release, have a call to action for your audience. Make them want to do something. Begin by making the content persuasive into taking the next step so they want to get involved. Persuade them that they need to be a part of what's happening. So inform the reader about your brand, make them thirst for more, and then educate the reader on how they can get involved. That's your first step. Now, given the digital nature of online press releases, you can add breadth and depth to any press release through hyperlinks, which I just mentioned. So add links to where your viewers can learn more. They can see statistics, they could watch videos, they could find the product. So use links to get people to go to your website and social media and be able to just go directly there. And finally, connect your audience directly to the means of that taking action. Have a link that directly leads to registering for your workshop that you're giving, or have a button on the press release that sends them towards the product you're selling. So once they've read about it, they can click that button and go straight to the store and purchase it. Whatever that next step is, you want to make sure your press release has the ability to send them straight to where that call to action would want them to go. Don't leave it as just a phone number, or don't just tell them, hey, meet here at this date and time. Make it interactive. Be proactive in getting them to engage with your thing. And make it as easy as clicking a mouse on the link. A rising trend in public relations is influencer marketing. And it goes hyperlocal by marketing to your demographic through influencers. And influencers are these prominent followers of your brand, or at least the type of product. And so these are people that would get excited about what you're sharing. And so you want to get these people to do the marketing for you. You want them on your team. So begin by researching. Use hashtags and keyword searches on social media related to your brand or the type of service or product you're selling to see who's talking about you. Use Google alerts and other services to get notified when someone is mentioning you online. And find out who's blogging about you, who is writing about you. By monitoring these online conversations, you can find who your influencers are for your brand. Now, once you identify who they are, it's a matter of encouraging participation. So your goal will be to motivate the influencer to write about you. And they will then do the marketing for you. So send content to them that they could get excited about. Ask for submissions of user-generated content, something that they can participate in. Send out a poll that you're conducting that gives some kind of small incentive, some little reward. Invite them to a question and answer session and join public forums where they can actually talk directly to you. These are the kind of things that can get people excited. Send out free trials or free little products that they can use. Invite them to be guest writers on your blogs. There's so many different ways, but the idea is that you encourage them to participate. You're almost kind of getting them to join your team and to work for you. The key is to get them to want to talk about you and do that without feeling like they're being bribed. With all of that, an important part of influencer marketing is to compensate these influencers. So their support is going to ripple out throughout the demographic far more effectively than you could. So third-party support always comes across as more trustworthy because people are going to be listening to them as being more honest and open than they would you because, well, self-interest. So for that support, find a way to keep them talking about you. Compensation doesn't necessarily have to mean financially. Discounts or promotional items, giving them shout-outs and thanking them on social media, other kinds of rewards, whatever you can to keep them in your good favor. And what is important is to develop these relationships so they grow. They're not just one-time things. If you've started working with an influencer, continue that relationship, build it. Don't just, have it be a one-and-done kind of thing where they've helped you out. Maybe they tweeted about you or wrote a review about your product. continue to build that relationship so it continues and grows. The entire point of public relations is providing answers to the questions that customers are asking, and doing so in a manner that builds up both you and the follower. So far we've discussed how you can get your message to the customer. However, many customers won't know where to go for the answers. So they turn to these powerful tools like Google and Yahoo and other search engines to find their information. So by utilizing search engine optimization, you can increase the likelihood of them discovering you, whether they're actively seeking you or even just stumbling upon you. Search engine optimization gives your brand the ability to specifically target your audience by being hyperlocal simply through online searches. So websites, social media posts, blogs, and most online publishing tools allow you the ability to optimize your content to be found on the search engine. So don't ignore all those blank fields when you're posting content. If you're on WordPress, there's stuff on the side about tags and all that. You don't want to ignore that. That's important stuff. So first off, consider the tagline or the title tag. This goes beyond just appearing on your site, but will show up in searches, giving viewers a little summary phrase of what they'll find on your article. Meta descriptions or excerpts can provide these lengthier descriptions than a tagline, allowing seekers to know exactly what's on your web page. So taglines, title tags, meta descriptions, these are going to give information when people start searching on Google, so it's not just a generic link they're clicking. Now some sites like WordPress allow you to create categories, and that's important because by categorizing content, related works will not only be organized together, but easier to discover for those seeking that information. And even media sites like YouTube allow you to create playlists, which allow people then to discover the next video, and the next video, and the next video. Now regarding media, many sites allow for alternate text, or even transcripts. Now alternate text is for images, and it gives a literal description of the image, allowing it to be easier to find in search engines. Similarly, transcripts for audio and video allow consumers to discover what is being said. And all these things will pop up in search engines and make it easier to discover your content. Now when searching online, consumers will choose words they hope will bring results. And you want to make sure your content utilizes those words. So find the keywords consumers are using and then use them in your content. So we've talked about avoiding jargon. Make sure you're using the words your customers are using. Meet their expectation. Be sure to have this multi-platform consistency by using the same language and keywords throughout all your social media and other online venues. Now many self-publishing sites offer the ability to add keywords or tags to content, and this gives search engines a stronger ability to connect your post with relevant inquiries. This should be the same approach with social media in the use of hashtags, to make sure all of your hashtags are being used consistently. Above all, you want to remain relevant. Don't flood posts with a bunch of tags, or worse, even bait your content with irrelevant tags or whatever's trending in the media. You're targeting a specific audience. You're going hyper-local. You want to attract all these potential clients, but not be so broad that you miss your target demographic. One final note on search engine optimization is your page's bounce rate. A bounce rate is part of the website's analytics, and it indicates how many viewers have visited your site and then bounced away or left your site. This could mean that you answered their questions, but usually it means they just didn't like your website. Lowering your post's bounce rate is going to improve your search engine optimization. And the way to do that, as we've talked about in previous lectures, is make sure your website is well designed, has good readability, is relevant. All these things that we've talked about that keeps people staying glued to you. That is going to make people stick around longer and less likely to leave as soon as they came. So by working and improving your page's bounce rate, you're also going to improve the ability for it to be discovered in search engines. Now beyond a bounce rate, there are a lot of statistics that can be tracked on your content. Age and sex demographics, location, number of viewers, the length of their visit, the list goes on. And this data is essential in understanding if you're hitting your hyperlocal goals. And if you're targeting an audience in one area and the majority of your viewers are coming from elsewhere, then you obviously need to work on something. These analytics make it easy for you to see how effective your public relations strategy is. Now, there are analytics services out there like Google Analytics, but many publishing sites like WordPress and YouTube have built-in analytics so you can see these from your site's administrative section. Even posts on Twitter and Facebook allow you to see how many views and how many engagements there have been with your content. Once implemented, start beginning to track it. Keep record of all of this. Analytic tools let you see different time ranges and the information, and you can start to see the ebb and flow. If you see a surge in views and interaction when you posted something, you know that you're on the right track. When you see no real growth or specific interaction, your outreach may not be as effective as you were hoping. And then what you do is you adjust. With all that information, you start making your adjustments, and there's no need to continuously tweak or be in a state of panic. But if every week you're noticing a trend, it's time to start thinking how you can positively influence your content. Perhaps you need to use better keywords, or maybe you need to start posting more relevant content. Maybe you need to find different influencers, or change how you release the information. But these decisions don't have to be left up to a whim. With analytics, you can research and adjust your public relations strategy and improve its effectiveness. So that's it for today's lecture. I look forward to seeing you next time.